Introduction, and thank you all for your kindness. I'd like to start by reading a poem from my latest book, Black Food, and it's by Gail Myers, PhD, who is a cultural anthropologist, a farmer, an activist, and a poet. It's entitled Rice. 3,000 years ago. Is it me? Am I just that magnetic?
You are supercharged.
I do. No, I gave it to my daughter. Can you hear me well? Right. Yeah. 3,000 years ago, my people grew rice along the Niger River. Black hands sowed the seeds in water, planted patties of trials and error. In water, solid seeds grew sufficient lines, scattered inside a chafe interior. Eventually, behold the gold, rice. Tall golden stalks threshed and winnowed, stubble trails ready for mounds of fluffy bouquets of fragrant rice. Once cooked, rice filled bellies and souls, satisfied tongues singing to the wind, full hands talking to beating drums, offering to spirit what is theirs, offering to everyone what they can eat and what they can keep. These were my people, the rice people first. The rice people, brutally captured and traded for rice to grow empires as growing culinary commodities. To build their empire, set their foundations, nails into their walls. But we lay the rows, planted the rice, hands unwilling but forced through migration. People who labored but never ate the fruits, be it indigo, tobacco, sugar, cotton, rice building framed the empires, but their hands could never see. Their bent bodies, tall, short, planted, pulled, plucked, harvested, winnowed, the dragging, fluffed, wafted, the shackled rice that drained into the sea with 6 million quieted hearts. Along the sinuous transatlantic pathways, grains of rice beneath the sea, 6 million flickering lights, 6 million faces fading into mirages. We eat from a pot of warm rice. We know to remember, to never forget the lines beneath the sea. 6 million souls sacrificed. The sea paid the price. The coastal Carolina sea people grew rice with no taste of liberation, no time to sleep, but this was the dish from which we grew strong, knowing uninterrupted 3,000 years of rice, knowing the toil of the rice. Wind knowing, rice knowing, because we knew rice. We knew wind, the many voices of wind, because we knew rice, we knew the beauty of water. Understood water's intonations, like the curves of waves and the pulse of currents. We knew the hums from their four directions. They said, "You are also water. You are also wind." They knew this was true. We are truth. The rice people knew truth. They knew wind. They felt deeply the swelling clouds falling like rain. Rain for rice. Clouds sacrificed for rice. Rain overflowed, covered fields and paddies, yet the leaves remained dry on the trees. There was no water for the roots. We thirst for juices that liberate souls. We hunger for a dish that tastes like rain. When it rains, I think of rice, people in my family. Growing up in my family, we ate rice every day. My mom says my dad wanted rice every day. My mom also said his mom probably ate rice every day, and her mom too. My father was a South Carolina low country Geechee, which makes me a Geechee. In my house growing up, we ate rice every day. This is our dish. In spite of how our dish was made, we have not shame to feel. We make this dish in joy from trials and tribulations from all those years, feeling the mirages of 6 million lights, hearing the wafting of wind songs, singing the knowing, songs that keep us free in spite of the talk of liberation. The empires' tongues talk of liberation, but we never taste the scent of rice or the wet of rain. The rice people first. They knew the water and the rain and fished every day along coastal shores. In my house, we ate rice every day. We also fished, and I learned nearly every I learned nearly early how to fish along the water's edge on a backwater creek with snakes crawling, minding their own business, with my wooden reed fishing pole with my aunties and uncles. We fished and ate rice as a testimony to our knowing. It was a dish we made, knowing rice and rain. Rice tasting like survival, fish comforting like water. We bleed our ancestors' blood. We give to spirit what is theirs. We keep what we can eat and know what to leave in the fields. We are rice people first. We see beauty in the wind. We taste truth in the rain. For this dish we made to remember the 6 million souls beneath the sea. We are rice. Everything is connected. You can move that this way. Okay. So, check two, check two, check two. Check 2, 3. Check 2, 3. Check 2, 3. That seems like it's good. Okay.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
So first of all, I want to thank Paul Goldberg for reaching out to my team about joining you this evening. And I want to thank Dari Gonzorn and her staff, as well as the Homeless Garden Project's Board of Directors for bringing us together. I think I can speak for all when I say that we sit in deep gratitude for this joyous celebration of the important work that HGP has been doing for over 3 decades. I also want to thank the close to 80 volunteers and everyone who worked behind the scenes, growing, harvesting, prepping, cooking, serving, and working to ensure that we had a gracious and delicious dinner. I know this was mentioned early, but I would be remiss if I did not highlight the fact that tonight's menu was executed by all women chefs. This is notable for a number of reasons. While historically kitchens have primarily been framed as a woman's place, professional kitchens have been and continue to be male-dominated spaces. Because of this, the food service industry has long been criticized for its lack of gender inclusivity and equity. While more efforts have been made over the past several years to address these issues, the reality is that women continue to be paid lower wages. They often don't get the same type of support and mentorship that their male counterparts receive. They face aggressive sexist behavior, misconduct, and abuse from their coworkers and employers. And as Chef Amanda Cohen reminds us, quote, women get nominated for fewer awards than men, they get covered less by the press, and they get fewer opportunities to lead high-end kitchens, or frankly, any kitchens at all, end quote. So I don't think that we should take it for granted that we have a meal prepared by brilliant, accomplished women chefs who are committed to excelling in their craft, running successful businesses, and mentoring a new generation of women in the food industry. So thank you, Gemma Cruz, Isabel Nunez-Jackson, Anna Bortolini, and Yolanda Santos. Can we give them So I have a few brief thoughts to share about sustainable food systems, food justice, and the essential work of the Homeless Garden Project. But first, I want to honor our meal. I could go on for hours about the ingredients, techniques, and glorious multitude of flavors of this ingredient-driven menu that we shared. Instead, I want to go in a different direction by reminding us of our interconnection and leaning on a quote by the late Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh from his book Savor, Mindful Eating, Mindful Life. Quote, when practiced to its fullest, mindful eating turns a simple meal into a spiritual experience, giving us a deep appreciation of all that went into the meal's creation, as well as deep understanding of the relationship between the food on our table, our own health, and our planet's health, end quote. As a chef, I want us all to be present with the various flavors, smells, temperatures, and textures of our meal. As someone who practices mindfulness, I would encourage us all to also be conscious of the soil and its living organisms, the air, the sunshine, the water, and all that goes into making our food. Everything is connected. In fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to share the 5 food contemplations by Thich Nhat Hanh as a tool to help us remember this interconnection. Our food is a gift from the whole universe, the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard work. May we eat with mindfulness and gratitude so as to be worthy to receive it. May we recognize and transform our unwholesome mental formations, especially our greed, and learn to eat with moderation. May we keep our compassion alive by eating in such a way that we reduce the suffering of living beings and preserve our planet. We accept this food so that we may nurture our sisterhood and brotherhood, strengthen our community, and nourish our ideal of serving living beings. It comes as no surprise that local farms provided all the raw ingredients for our meal tonight. In fact, ingredients from this farm are incorporated into every single course. Growing food for community and locally and sustainably has been core to the Homeless Garden Project's identity since its founding. HGP was the first, and I encourage you to check out the website if you haven't, look in the brochure, and learn more about this work. But HGP was the first CSA in Santa Cruz County and one of the earliest adopters nationwide. They donate shares of the CSA to local organizations to distribute to their clients, and in 2022 they have grown the program by 50%, now reaching 15 organizations. Part of the brilliance of HEP's work is the centrality of sustainability. The food we eat and how we produce it have major impacts on our health and environmental sustainability. Food production is responsible for up to 30% of greenhouse gas emissions and 70% of freshwater use. Land conversion for agriculture is the single most important driver of biodiversity loss. I mean, you were in Santa Cruz. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I got to share these facts with you anyway. I know you guys all know this already. You know, I have to say, I was so excited that our meal was plant-centered, not just for selfish reasons, though. Food sourced from animals, especially red meat, have high environmental footprints compared to other food groups. This has an impact on greenhouse gas emissions and land use. Industrial farming, CAFOs, and monoculture commodity crops make things worse. The use of chemical inputs, fertilizers, and pesticides may equal larger yields in the short term, but they're extractive and unsustainable in the long term. Plus, their runoff pollutes the soil, air, and water. Regenerative agriculture, grazing, and crop rotation are sustainable practices. They lead to healthy soils and streams, healthy nutrient-dense food, and a healthy planet. Quite simply, a diet that includes more plant-based and fewer animal-sourced foods is sustainable and good for both people and our planet. It's not a question of all or nothing, but rather small changes for large and a positive impact, and HGP gets this. Food can be a driver for change and is at the center of HGP's work. And this in turn brings us to justice. What has always impressed me about HGP's programming is the understanding that everything is connected. We cannot separate sustainable food system from food justice or from housing justice. Sustainability and sustenance and housing security must be braided together with equity. When I think about the work of HGP, I'm reminded of the Freedom Farm founded in Mississippi in the 1960s by Fannie Lou Hamer, with 600 acres of affordable housing, community gardens, commercial kitchens, and fields upon food crops. We know that housing insecurity is simply one indicator of material deprivation. Most people who are homeless or housing insecure also face food insecurity, very little, if any, access to medical service, and the list goes on and on. Housing justice, as HGP knows, is about addressing the multiple issues to which it is connected. When the organization was founded in 1990, the initial goal was to create refuge where individuals experiencing homelessness had a safe community space to go, where they could find healthy food and put their hands in the soil and increase their well-being. Everything is connected. Structural systems of oppression have shaped the conditions of working class and working poor communities and help explain our broken housing system, as well as our inequitable food and health outcomes. We know at the core of all these issues is our current economic system. Working class, working poor, and increasingly so-called middle class people are having a harder time affording housing, and many people are ending up homeless due to the inequities caused by capitalism. This must change, and it is up to us to freedom dream and work towards new realities that allow people to live with dignity and have their basic human rights met.
Yay!
The Homeless Garden Project knows that housing is a human right, not a commodity to be bought and sold for profit. Their work is essential, and it calls for a more just housing system. While looking towards the bigger picture, HGP is embracing our multitude, and they are sharing the stories of and helping repair the harm to the most impacted by our inequitable world. Grassroots-based building in the most impacted communities, pushing for public policy changes that are in the best interests of everyday people like you and me, and building systems outside of the ones that currently don't serve us are all vital steps to transforming our broken systems. But I don't want us to lose sight of the seemingly apolitical everyday acts of resistance. While some might see providing job training, transitional employment, and support services to people experiencing homelessness as apolitical, I would argue that they are highly political and, dare I say, radical. Until one's basic needs are met, it's hard to fight the powers that be. HDP's program is now honed to be an effective year-long program where graduates obtain stable housing and stable employment within 3 months of leaving the program at more than 90%. Trainees are paid for their work. They receive job training and support services while in the program. Everything is connected, and we should all be aware of the reality that until everyone is healed and whole, none of us are truly healed and whole. When we can see ourselves in every other living being, we can't help but feel charged to get up off our butts and do something to create a more healthful, just, and sustainable world. Thank you again, HGP, for bringing us all together tonight. While gathering around the table isn't the solution to changing the world, community building events such as this in support of life-changing programming can be a powerful catalyst and a great start. I hope you all will consider joining me in sharing your time, talents, and treasure in support of the important work of the Homeless Garden Project. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Heidi.